Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar, Achieving Great Customer Experience and Time to Value with a Customer Data Platform. My name is Renat Gersch, and I'm the Head of Product Marketing here at Treasure Data. I'd like to introduce our guest speaker today, David Wallace. David Wallace is Research Director for Customer Intelligence and Analytics, as well as a member of the Customer Experience Management Group at IDC. David covers market trends in technology, data, business processes, and business models that firms utilize to gain insights from interactions to improve customer experience, which delivers a better business bottom line for brands. David is also the co author of the recently published IDC CDP Marketscape. Hi, David. It's great to have you here today as our guest.
Hi, Renat. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Fantastic. So, before we begin, some quick housekeeping. An on demand version of this webinar is available immediately after the presentation. Please also feel free to click and download the attachments below your screen. The IDC CDP Marketscape report is available to download for all participants. Lastly, we'd love to hear from you. So if you have questions during the session, please submit them below and we will do our best to answer them at the end. Please take it away, David.
Thank you, Renat. So it really is digital first, digital always, and digital everywhere for firms that are executing their business strategies today. In our latest annual global CEO survey just completed, nearly three-fourths of CEOs report that their digital investments are either staying at the same level or accelerating in 2022, and the word of the year that they selected is technology. Today, 95% of organizations around the world are implementing a digital first strategy as part of $1.8 trillion in expected global digital experience technology spending this year, and that's going to grow to 2.8 trillion in 2025 at about a 16.5% CAGR. The spending growth is focused on accelerating the revenue from digital products and services and experiences to be over 25% of total firm revenues this year. And we predict that by 2025, 70% of CEOs of Global 2000 organizations will have a goal to generate at least 40% of total revenues from digital. The CRM or customer experience application software market is expected to be an $81 billion a year market this year, growing to $96 billion in 2024. And the investments that firms are making now are focusing on contextualization and real-time interactions with customers. And if you're wondering about the top business priorities for brands, IDC Global Survey research across 9 consecutive monthly waves in 2021 and also the first wave in 2022 confirm that customer satisfaction or customer experience remains the top business priority over operational efficiency, employee productivity or EX, innovation, and profits. And the other 4 priorities also drive CX development and improvement. In one of our global surveys, we asked firms about their top priorities specifically related to their digital first strategies. The top priority was privacy first, and as we know, privacy is a driver of customer trust. Software first was second, and that's to deliver the innovation that aligns to the 4th overall business priority that you saw on the previous slide, which is innovation. Customer data was the 3rd digital first priority, and that's driven by the need to understand and respond to customers. In a separate survey of B2B tech buyers, and you can think of those as enterprise brands, disconnected customer data and understanding the customer journey to be successful with marketing were cited as the top challenges. And I'd like to drill down on those two challenges to add just a bit of additional context. We ask firms about the challenges that they face in understanding the customer experience from their customers' perspectives, which you could think of as an outside-in view. 3 of the 4 top challenges are about gathering or analyzing data about customers. And the 4th challenge, treating the customer with empathy, requires customer data to provide AI-based insights in context and engaging in digital interactions with customers so that the firm can communicate cognitive empathy that builds customer trust, and customer trust builds loyalty. So how can these challenges be addressed? At IDC, we believe the answer to that question is to use a customer data platform. Now, the term CDP was first used as a marketing software category in 2013 by an independent consultant named David Robb. And the answer to the question of what is a CDP, according to Robb, is packaged software that creates a persistent, unified customer database that is accessible to other systems. At IDC, we view customer data platforms as having 3 areas of functionality: aggregation, analytics, and activation. In activation, it all starts with the customer data sources that you have. And with the demise of third-party cookies, it's first-party data and zero-party data that needs to be your primary focus. The CDP then ingests the data sources using connectors. The data is tagged with the appropriate privacy level. Customer consent is retained so that the data can be managed and monitored and governed properly. And then ID resolution of the data also occurs with the unique identifier. The result of that process is the creation of a unified customer data profile or profiles. And once those profiles are created, all newly ingested data can be automatically linked to the profiles, which increasingly is done in real time. Now, these profiles can be B2C, business to customer, and they can have a hierarchy to represent the link between a firm that is a B2B customer and the employees, partners, and influencers associated with that firm. Or if you think about it in a financial context, it could be a family that's in a high net worth family office in wealth management, in which multiple generations might share ownership in a privately owned business. And also then those family members separately have individual assets and investments that need to be managed. So analytics comes next, and that's in which artificial intelligence and machine learning analyze the data. And in marketing use cases, audiences and segments are created for campaigns, for personalization using journey analytics, and so forth. And lastly, it's activation, and that's the pillar in which customer engagement happens. That activation can be done within a CDP, or it can be done through destination connectors that deliver the results of the analytics to other parts of the MarTech stack of an organization, areas like email marketing tools, in-app messaging, social, and other channels. In one of our other recent IDC surveys, we asked firms about their technology investment priorities that would help them understand customers from their customers' perspectives. It's not surprising that CDPs are on the top of that list, and customer data privacy and consent management are also among the top 5 out of the 15 total possible responses. Now, at this point in our discussion, perhaps you have the impression that CDPs are only for marketing. At IDC, we think that there is an imperative of orchestrating customer experience that goes beyond just marketing to all of the front office and back office functions that you see at the top of this diagram. All of these functional areas need unified customer data as an enterprise service to be available and accessible with proper security and privacy. CDPs can provide that universal customer data service in a very comprehensive way for brands. So the CDP market itself has grown very rapidly since 2013, as I mentioned a few slides ago. There are now over 150 firms in the market, which has led to confusion for CDP buyers to identify which vendors to investigate. And so IDC began a comprehensive study of the CDP market last year with the goal of creating clarity for buyers so that the first meeting between buyers and sellers doesn't start with perhaps as many as 12 to 20 CDP vendors in the room, which makes it also unproductive for the vendors themselves. So after an 11-month study, we have published 2 IDC MarketScapes as part of our subscription research. It's a structured and very rigorous analysis that scores vendor participants on their capabilities and their strategies. It provides a snapshot of vendors for each participating firm, and it includes advice for buyers that are considering the acquisition of a CDP. We produced 12. We produced 2 reports, each of which analyzed 12 CDP buyers or providers, that are unique to each report. And today we're going to focus on the second one of those reports that is in the area of data and market operations. Now, we profiled the participants in that report, and as you can see on the left side of the screen, they're focused mostly on enterprise firms, with about 70% of their customers as enterprises and about 30% as small to medium businesses. We also analyzed the user roles that are served by the CDP providers that were in this report. And if you look at the front office roles, which are in blue in the diagram, and back office roles, which are in green in the diagram, you can see that there's almost a 50-50 split between the 2 groups. For enterprise firms, it's teams like marketing technology operations, data science and analytics, and other teams that are actually doing the data analysis with artificial intelligence and machine learning. And then those teams are delivering the insights from the algorithms to the teams with marketing and customer service and other front office areas. And those insights are being provided within their workflows so that they don't need to know how the algorithms work. This separation of roles also serves to improve the data governance and data privacy levels of the data that's within the CDP, and also providing the source information for the analytics, AI, and machine learning. So Renat, I'll turn things over to you.
Thank you, David. So thank you for sharing those valuable insights from IDC's research. Indeed, the CDP promise is to bridge the gap between having data and being able to use it, to make sense of it, to differentiate with it, to use it in line with privacy regulations, serve it for ease of use so that it can be used as a driver of customer experience and performance for the entire business. A similar diagram to this one is at the forefront of many CDP vendors. But despite the promise in the diagram, most CDP vendors are still operating as a marketing point solution that just creates another silo within the business. An enterprise CDP, just like you mentioned, David, in the enterprise service that's required, must take an enterprise-wide view at the platform as well as at the application level. So, as you had shared earlier, David, a customer enterprise service is indeed um, is indeed needed as more customer interactions are digitized and tighter privacy regulations are becoming the law. Businesses now have overwhelming data complexity. And here are some 5 points to consider when we're thinking about that complexity. One, data is much more varied with so many channels of interactions, and they're not just marketing channels of interactions. Two, data must be governed and controlled with the right privacy regulations. Three, the definition of PII, privacy identifiable, personally identifiable information, the definition of PII data and its usage continues to change. It must be secured, hidden, and still used when appropriate, but with strict governance to who can access it. And four, we mentioned the sunsetting of third-party cookies. So the sunsetting of third-party cookies means much more data is anonymous. And collecting the vendor's own first-party or zero-party data is really key to a strategy that looks into the future. And five, data vendors, data sources, and marketing tools are rapidly changing. So, adaptability and the ability to have a very flexible schema that brings in the data is key to speed today more than ever before. All of these things together are creating a high level of complexity for using data and using it respectfully. To deliver the CDP promise and become a true foundation for all things customer across the organization, we are taking an enterprise-wide view at the platform and application level. Our enterprise CDP powers the operations team with and provides simplicity to the business users. At the application level, we offer AI-driven solutions and simple to use tools for marketing, sales, and service teams, bringing them together so they can have a continuous conversation with each customer that gets smarter with every interaction. At the end of the day, a CDP is successful only if data and insights can be consumed by the business with ease. It's all about integrating with systems and tools already being used in order to drive engagement and profitability. So, to do exactly that, we recently launched the Omnichannel Journey Orchestration for customer experience managers and marketing managers. It's been welcomed with much excitement. The tool sits on top of our platform and benefits from all unified data, historical and current, as well as derived insights. It enables the orchestration of campaigns across marketing, service, and sales channels. It works based on understanding journey stages that are tied to the customer's entire history and are impacted by current behavior. The journey stage automatically updates, and next steps are defined by a combination of campaigns and next best action recommendations. Now to an enterprise-wide view at the platform level. Treasure Data customer-centric platform underpins all the applications. It is a full-featured enterprise-wide customer data foundation. We offer trusted customer data as an infrastructure with a best-in-class data platform that has the flexibility and scale to combine customer data from all sources in one place cost-effectively and bring the tools, applications, and processing power to that data. Critical to CDP success, the platform aligns key operations teams, data operations, machine learning operations, and marketing operations with powerful built-in productivity tools. Data is easily queried, mined, and is accessible to other applications. Built-in connectors and integration options allow it to slot into the existing technology stack at the enterprise and works with all systems. Analytics reports and white box machine learning are easily customizable. So data scientists, and and marketing technologists can all come together to elevate business teams and provide them with the tools in real time without any extra effort, as they are aligned on objectives and are working off the same privacy compliant data sets in one enterprise platform that centralizes privacy, security, data protection, and resiliency for every piece of data throughout its lifetime. David, let's turn to our attention to the recently published IDC MarketScape worldwide report for customer data platforms that focuses on the data and marketing operations users. Treasure Data was named the leader. Can you please share with us some of the contributions to IDC's assessment?
Yes, sure, Renat, I can do that. And I'll just reiterate that after a thorough evaluation of Treasure Data's strategies and capabilities, IDC did position Treasure Data in the leaders category within the MarketScape for customer data platforms focused on data and marketing operation users. And some of the strengths that we noted in the report about Treasure Data, first off, is security. The Treasure Data customer data platform manages and tracks users with its own single sign-on. It also integrates with SSOs and customer identity access management systems. It's got a detailed set of audit logs, encryption, and user permissions by role, team, organization, region, and data set. Another strength that we noted was identity resolution, pardon me. We saw that the data platform for Treasure Data offers users a number of different techniques to maintain related identities, such as deterministic, probabilistic, configurable, rules-based, device ID stitching, and machine learning-based. These varied types of identity connection mechanisms can be maintained by region, by location, brand, household, account hierarchy, and devices. The third area of strength that we noted is in the software support area. Treasure Data has implemented customer support capabilities like inbound support from any channel, 24/7 live agent access, self-service customer hub, and 1 hour callback time for priority 1 issues. Treasure Data's education and training resources for the CDP platform are more robust than similar vendors. So our suggestion is that firms consider Treasure Data if one of the top challenges that you're trying to solve as a buyer is managing large volumes of customer data, establishing a complete view of the customer, or improving customer experience. Enterprises, as well as medium-sized businesses, should consider Treasure Data a strong choice, particularly if you're looking for solutions, services, or support in APAC, North America, and EMEA. And now back to you, Renat.
Thank you, David. So we are humbled to continue to serve our customers as the leaders of the category. It is our customers' success that is the driving force for our ongoing innovation. And it's a great opportunity for me to share today how Treasure Data's Enterprise CDP creates value along the entire customer lifecycle. Our customer strategic goals come to life with engagement strategies, some of those depicted here on the slide, which they deploy to gain value for their customers and to optimize performance for the business. The CDP drives value throughout the entire lifecycle and across all the different departments that are involved. If we think about it, for personalization to happen at scale, our customers use our CDP as a single source of truth that unites all teams and systems. The CDP updates scores, preferences, recommendations, and consent with every interaction. All touch points are in sync, so the conversation is continuous, consistent, and relevant. Here's an example of why bidirectional marketing data is so important. Let's join a call that is picked up by an agent at a call center. She can see that the caller clicked on the recent spring promotion email and that the caller has been browsing on the website, getting educated. Those valuable marketing signals help the agent shape the conversation. And at the same time, via the integration with the CDP, these signals are already baked into the next best experience that's recommended for the agent in the service app they're using. I'll continue with this example, and let's imagine that the agent helps the customer, the caller, make a final decision, and the purchase is complete. Behind the scenes, the caller stage is updated, and with it, journey orchestration kicks off the retention journey. But it also removes the caller from all awareness activities. Suppression is key to efficient media spend, and it also removes those awkward experience moments on social or email. Like, I've just purchased this dining table and now I see promotions for it all the time. These connected strategies break down organizational silos and allow our customers to improve bottom line results. Our enterprise CDP drives significant value. For example, a leading automotive company has added $125 million to their bottom line in 1 year as they ran more than 150 campaigns based on 20 machine learning models, some out of the box, some that their own data scientists developed, across 30 use cases that included marketing, service, and sales. Luis Gama, the senior global Martech manager at AB InBev, who are the global leader in beer and the producer of Budweiser, Corona, and many other, he summarizes the value perfectly. Treasured data is our center, our key to how we live in a cookieless world, in an even more digital environment, and still connect with our consumers. And you can see that they were able to do that despite a highly complex environment that, in their case, included 1,000 data sources and generated more than 70 million unique profiles across 40 countries. But the data environment doesn't need to be as complex as AB InBev's in order to make sense for an enterprise CDP. Back to you, David.
Thank you, Renat. So one interesting finding that we had during our research was in response to a question in which we asked CDP providers to report the time it took for customers to benefit from their CDP. Now, we analyzed both of the two reports together, and we found that 88% of customers saw benefits within 3 months after project kickoff. Now, there were some differences in the percentages between the front office report and the marketing and data operations report. And perhaps that's due to implementation complexities within enterprise firms. As you remember earlier, 70% of the users for the data and marketing operations report were enterprises. But both of those cohorts are still some great numbers. We also found that some customers got benefits within the first month of implementation, which likely is for an SME firm that has very few data sources. And the longest time between implementation and benefit was between 3 and 6 months. So I think all of these numbers paint a clear picture that implementing a CDP is not too complex. And in part, that's due to the number of data connectors that are provided by CDP vendors, both for source data ingestion and also for connectors to activation and engagement tools in other parts of a firm's typical MarTech stack. So I'm going to wrap up my comments today with some advice for CDP buyers for the business and technical criteria that should be used by any firm that's considering a CDP acquisition. In the business criteria area, one of the important things are the industry capabilities, especially for regulated industries like healthcare, for financial services, and gaming, just to name a few. And in technical criteria, infrastructure maturity and complexity can often be an issue during the implementation of a CDP. There's silos of customer data that need to be sorted out so that all the needed data flows within the CDP. There's complexity and analytics and activation that can also be issues once the data in the CDP is ready to go. So one question you might ask yourself is, how many email marketing tools or other MarTech tools does your firm really need? Some enterprise firms have 8 to 10 email service providers and a plethora of social media intelligence providers and so on and so forth. So simplicity in the MarTech stack, often 30 to 50 tools that firms have, is something that really also needs to be looked at. Renat, do you have any additional wrap-up comments?
Thank you for asking, David. I think just one comment does come to mind. We have seen our customers benefit greatly from engaging in a proof of concept in order to validate the technical criteria. It allows companies to check out the capabilities and assess time to value, like their realistic assumptions around time to value, before they launch into a full scoped project. So thank you, David. I think that with that, we've summarized the content we intended to share with the listeners today. And if there are any questions, please do drop them into the questions below, and we'll be happy to take them now. So I do see here a couple of questions that have popped up, David. Let me take one of those. Once you have all your data in one place, what kind of opportunities or use cases can that open up?
Well, boy, there are a lot of those use cases. I mean, I think the top use case that we saw from our research was the 360-degree view of the customer. But personalization is certainly a big use case. I think the ability to link the data between marketing and other front office areas like customer service and contact centers is another big opportunity. If all the data is together in one place, then as an example, if a customer contact agent is on the phone with a client, or if they're having a communication via digital assistant, and sentiment analysis is starting to go negative with that customer, then if that data is in the CDP, then marketing can have an algorithm that automatically suppresses any future marketing related communications, which, as we all know, since we're all customers, if you're having trouble with a brand and you get an email saying, wouldn't you like to buy something else? That's usually a big downer in terms of customer experience. So there's quite a bit of those, but those I think are maybe the ones that I would highlight.
Thanks, David. Here's another question for you. I think we'll have time for another one after this one. If I'm not a technical savvy marketing person, I'm not in MarTech, will I be able to use a CDP without the help of my data science or my IT team?
Well, there's probably more than one answer to that question, and I guess I would maybe I'll talk about it in terms of the size of firm. There are some CDPs out there that are mostly focused for small to medium business users, and pretty much they deliver only marketing use cases. And so there are some simplistic ways that marketers um, can use the results of some AI algorithms and go about their job and improve the situation with customer experience. For enterprise firms, and that's the main group of buyers that we focused on for this report, usually, in fact, I would say most often, there are teams like marketing operations or CX operations or corporate data science teams. And the process there is that management is wanting those teams to do the analysis and use the right algorithms. Those algorithms often need to be tested with test data. Some of those AI routines need to be governed properly. And that's clearly not the business of marketing. That's the business of the technology teams that support marketing. And so once that's been done, then the insights can still be delivered in a way that marketers can just consume them immediately, and they don't need to have interactions with the customer, with the data science teams or marketing operations. It really can be a seamless process. And so in the end, marketing gets to do what they do best. They get to take advantage of the results of the AI process so that within their marketing workflow, they're just getting additional advice that helps them do their job better. And all of that is the result of having all the data stitched together so that everybody is constantly confident that they're seeing an up-to-date real-time view of what the customer is thinking.
Fantastic. Thank you. I think potentially one last question for us today, a really good question that came in. For business case justification, this is something that we get asked about a lot, and I'm sure that you do too, David.
Mm-hmm.
What's the typical metric used for financial impact? Is it lower acquisition cost, or improved retention, or improved digital marketing conversion?
Well, boy, that's that's often a tough question to answer. But I think any of those, lower acquisition costs for new customers, improve retention. It's always easier to retain an existing customer and less costly to retain an existing customer than it is to get a new one. I think that as more marketing becomes digital first, as I said earlier on in my comments, then measuring conversion certainly is a good thing. Overall, you still need to measure customer experience, though. So there are many different ways to measure customer experience. The one that's probably most common is Net Promoter Score. That's probably the least sophisticated way of making the investment, but a combination of looking at NPS scores, customer lifetime value scores are often used. There are various CSAT measurements that come from voice of the customer surveys, and I think it's likely best to use a combination of those things to try and make sure that ultimately the experience with your customers is going up. If it's not going up, then you're losing business to competition. And I guess the last thing I would say is that in the digital first world, IDC has been doing these surveys for the past couple of years since the pandemic started. And it's very clear that brands that started moving to digital first before the pandemic they have garnered lots more business. Their revenue has gone up. It's gone up quicker compared to their competitors in their markets. And so for firms that are kind of lower on that adoption scale, it's really time to accelerate that digital adoption. And the place to start, again, is pulling all the customer data together into a CDP, because you can't take advantage of any of the AI and machine learning insights until you have all the customer data linked together and it's constantly updated.
Absolutely. Um, I think that just to strengthen what you said, David, I think that what we see with our customers often is that the very cherry picking of justification happens with optimization of media spend, just based on the fact that it's such a number that
Right.
everybody can relate to, right? It's like
Right.
media spend is a big number. You optimize that number, you can see immediate ROI. And it is based on that ROI that a lot of the customers can continue to do the longer term of use cases that you were describing, really generating that increase in customer experience and that overall benefit to the company. But often media efficiency is kind of the first cherry picking for justification.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I would agree with that. I mean, if you can reduce cost and you have a more effective marketing spend, then that's great. But again, I think from the long-term perspective, it's really about customer experience, and that's more, I guess I would call that a forward-looking positive measure, because if you start looking at your brand versus other brands, it's easy to see the difference in many different ways. Some firms, are still focused on, well, what's in it for me? How much cross-sell and upsell can I do? And that is so backwards, because it's not trying to put yourself as the brand in the customer's shoes. And if you can put yourself in the customer's shoes, then you can pretty quickly see where you're doing it incorrectly. And fixing that as fast as possible is what's needed today, because the velocity of change in a digital first environment is just much, much quicker. And so the time to fix mistakes and the time to implement new things, the return on that investment has to occur very quickly.
Absolutely. If you focus on the customer, those performance metrics will follow.
That's right.
David, it's such a pleasure to have a conversation with you, as always. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation, Renat. This has been great. I've enjoyed it.
And thank you to the listeners for staying with us through the end. Talk to you soon.